So there's also the most important conspiracy that it's funny because of the way it's set up. It's something that pretty much everybody would want to see in terms of science, but then there's also people that just take the step further and make it a conspiracy theory, and that would be aliens and the UFO conspiracy. And so yeah, basically let's.
I love aliens.
Yeah, I like aliens.
Okay, let's just start a disclaimer. Lee,
What?
you go, because you might be saying the same thing I'm saying.
I was going to say, right now I'm going to say, before we discuss any of the instances of this, are aliens on the Earth, yes or no?
No.
I'm going to say no, period, like, for sure.
See, the way I see it, why would they want to come here?
If they're coming here, they're going to all the other planets that have life too.
Yeah, and
It's just that simple.
See, the way I see it, like, Earth is kind of like that one house on the block that you know is just completely run down, and you know the people living there are not well off, and you know if you get invited to that house, you definitely don't want to go.
And then you just go by, and then you laugh at them.
That's basically how I feel about Earth.
Well,
so why would aliens, who are much more technologically advanced than us, want to come here?
Because we have nuclear technology.
So they probably have, like, technology to harness black holes for all we know.
Yeah, but see, that's one thing. Apparently... Okay, Lee, go ahead.
I was going to say, because they want to ascend us, which would bring us into our first topic, the ancient alien theory. And so, basically the ancient alien
like the
theory...
Solarians uplifting the Krogans.
Yes, in a roundabout way. But the theory is, well, and there's a show on the History Channel. I'm sure most of the audience is probably aware of it. But
aliens.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely going to throw Giorgio Tsoukalos' picture up there. So, but and I'm also going to include a picture of him that I saw on another TV show where his hair wasn't like that. And I was like, "That's
just
him."
To confuse people. Just to confuse people. That's great.
But anyway, it's basically saying that there was this ancient race of aliens that came down, and that the basically with a few argumentative points that the people who are like scholars of ancient religious texts and the people who would argue the ancient alien theory, aside from a few things, they basically think that all of the religious texts, when in terms of like gods or stuff like that, is actually alien intervention. So they think that most of the texts are true, but the accounts aren't some sort of supernatural being, it's an alien being from another planet. Specifically the Anunnaki, they say. So, what do you guys think of the ancient alien theory?
Is it similar to...
I will take your silence as a...
So
is it
we're
similar
basically...
to the whole... Oh, sorry, you go, Will. You go.
We're basically saying that religion is aliens?
Yep, that's what they say.
We're Asaris, and the Protheans are basically what we're talking about, if you think about it.
Yes.
So... But...
Will, is your mind blown
Ow.
somehow?
No, I don't feel like processing.
Oh, well, I can totally agree with what you're saying. It's just how. It doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. Because the main fact that would be is, why aren't they here now?
Because they got tired of us and decided to leave because we were hopeless.
And when did they leave?
About 5 minutes after they got here.
Again, I'll bring up a metaphor where it's like you go to a party, and when you realize that party sucks, you leave like right away.
And to stir up a bit of controversy, I'm gonna say it would also assume, this theory has to assume that the religious texts are true, which they aren't, in my opinion. And
That's a whole nother episode.
You probably agree with me, but. Yeah, that is an entirely different debate. But anyway, I think that's it's such an outrageous theory that has very little evidence, little to no evidence, that it
I
has...
really wish that you guys could see the faces that I'm making right now as I'm trying to process this.
Have you ever watched the show?
I think so.
It's
And this
hilarious.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
Especially the people that they get on there, they're just like so convinced.
Yeah.
This show is either the most ridiculous thing that's ever been on TV, or it's the biggest troll TV show ever.
There's nothing positive about it.
Like, it's just... It's so satirical that it wouldn't even be... It's transcended satire and moved on to an entirely different level of...
Has South Park parodied this yet? I'm trying to remember.
Probably. Although I don't know...
It takes quite a bit.
Yeah?
It takes quite a bit to have me be speechless.
It's funny because most of the time, if somebody was actually, like, seriously describing this to you with the fact that they thought it was true, you could just stare at them and say, do you want to repeat that again to yourself? And you could just use that as for evidence against it. just give that a little, just process it through the brain for 2 seconds.
That's like the ultimate "you're stupid" remark. Do you want to repeat that to yourself? I'm going to use that from now on whenever somebody says something stupid to me.
Just rewind that back and say it again. Only this time to you.
Just think for a second what you have just said.
Okay. So,
Oh god, that's gold. I'm sorry, tweeting that.
okay, I think we'll move on to the next one. The next one we were going to
Please.
discuss is Area 51. So for those of you who aren't aware, Area 51 is supposedly a base in the Nevada desert where they house... it definitely is a base in the Nevada desert. It exists.
Yes.
But
We know it's there.
They
We have
do-
pictures.
They do military testing there, but people argue that military... And it's secretive. It's top secret by the government because they denied it existed for until 94 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, and so people argue that there's aliens on the base and alien technology, and that's basically where, or why we've advanced so far is because they reverse engineer the crashed alien ships, or the ship from Roswell, which is another topic. But yeah, so what do you guys think about Area 51? Because my personal opinion is that, well, it obviously exists, it's obviously there, and it obviously is on the cutting edge of technology in terms
They are doing some intense top secret stuff there. That
and
is for
it's purely terrestrial things. It's not any alien technology. It's just advanced military hardware.
They're being innovative.
Yes.
The way I see it, based on what you said about how the reason why we're so advanced now is because they reverse engineered alien technology. When was the Roswell incident, for instance? When was?
1957.
Okay, so it's been a long time. So they've had a lot of time to research and study this stuff. Why aren't we as advanced as we are now?
Stop people from knowing that there are aliens.
Oh, but come on. People are good actors.
Yeah.
They can easily do. Convince us we were at MIT and we researched and discovered this. You never know.
We could totally say that right now, that the scale of the conspiracy that would have to occur for the government, for every government worldwide, mind you, to be covering up alien existence is I can't even comprehend it. It's so impossible.
Well, see, Lee, the problem is that all of the leaders of the planet Earth, all of them actually happen to be giant robot alien shapeshifters.
No, not robot shapeshifters, lizard shapeshifters.
Okay, I'm sorry. Giant lizard alien shapeshifters.
But yeah. And that's another, when we were talking about how could you rationalize that, Danny, it basically, it could be taken as sort of the graduation to grandmaster conspiracy theorist when you view all of these other conspiracy theories and you think, and then he would have to have looked at all of these and came to the conclusion that they were impossible unless these reptilian aliens existed. And that's how he jumped to that. So he rationalized everything with his brain and said, these are all impossible, unless the world was being controlled by reptilian aliens. That's how he jumped. I can't believe
we're back to the Illuminati right now.
Well, because it's so ridiculous. I'm saying that's how he jumped to the conclusion. But yeah, I don't
just
really
go up to the guy who talks about the Bavarian Illuminati and just be like, "Can you repeat that to yourself?"
But yeah, some of the things that have come out of Area 51 was I don't know if the B-52, but the B-2 stealth bomber, the Spirit. Most of the UAVs that are out there, like the drones, the Reaper drones and the Predator drones and all those other drones came from Area 51, supposedly, or at least conceptualized and designed there. And so there's been a lot of... And what was the one that was the SR-71, which is arguably the most advanced aircraft ever built? Maybe behind the Avro Arrow.
Nothing can top the Avro Arrow.
Wait, the SR-71 Blackbird?
Yeah. But, I like how, just getting off topic for a bit, the SR-71, the official protocol, if they have a missile trailing them, is go faster. The plane has no countermeasures. So, like, you know how, like, a plane could drop flares?
Yeah.
The SR-71 doesn't have that because it can go faster than any missile anyone's ever created.
I like that.
So it's just like we're being trailed by a missile. Okay.
Force run.
I like that.
That's so good. Great.
And there's also they're retiring it because it costs so much money to fly the thing. It's not really much point.
The Blackbird or the Avro?
Well, the Avro has never existed, but if it did, it would still be more advanced than any plane that we have, even including the SR-71 today. But
the Avro Canadian?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember.
It's at the bottom of Lake Ontario.
Really?
Yep. They sank it. That's what they did.
Oh, to prevent people from
rebuilding it. Yeah. But wouldn't matter because we had alien technology to rebuild it from, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
But yeah, so overall, I think Area 51. I think that you would have to discuss it politically if you wanted to talk about secret bases and why the information should be publicized. But I definitely don't think that it should be publicized because of that. It could be aliens. That wouldn't be an argument I would.
I would say that there's no conspiracy about that weird advanced stuff's going on there, but alien related, that is just you're stretching it.
That's pushing it quite a bit.
That's kind of pushing the envelope.
There's no rational jump from advanced aircraft to aliens.
It's basically like going from eating a slice of bread to having a full turkey dinner.
The main theory came from a guy who worked there that said all this. His name's Bob Lazar. And he said he worked at Area 51. They've basically either said he is lying, but nobody can call him on it because the public doesn't know what actually goes on there. So he could say anything and we don't have anything to call him on, right?
It's like the ultimate safe zone.
And he basically came out and said, if this is... the government can't do anything because, he's either... Some people say that he's working for the government, and they basically spreading misinformation, but that's another conspiracy theory. And he said, if I get taken away and murdered or disappear, and no one ever hears from me again, then that's basically saying that what I've said is true because somebody actually took the time to silence me. And that's basically his opinion on it. So, but yeah, there's no way you can't find evidence or anything to kind of just disprove him, but he doesn't have any evidence to prove what he said. It's just his word. So, but that's where the idea came from. And not to mention Independence Day because they go to Area 51 and there's an alien ship there and other movies that are based on that, But
Based on 100% factual science.
It's mainly it's mainly Hollywood and stuff like that have perpetuated the idea of Area 51. And also one of the good, like, the better movies I've seen recently, which was what was it called? I don't remember what it was called, but it was like it had the guys from Shaun of the Dead in it, and they went to Area 51. Paul, that's what it was. And then yeah.
Oh, I've seen that movie.
I really liked that movie. It was funny. But yeah.
Yeah, I saw that with Jamie.
Again, also perpetuating the idea that there is aliens at Area 51. The false idea, in my opinion, that there's aliens at Area 51. But
I find it more believable that there's an alien there who is voiced by Seth Rogen and smokes a lot of weed.
But yeah, I guess we can move on to the next one. We're going to talk about Roswell. So, for the people that don't know, Roswell, or the Roswell incident, was supposedly a UFO that crashed in 1947 in a field in Roswell, New Mexico, which was like a small farming town. And the wreckage, well, the farmer that looked it up thought it was kind of suspicious, and the army came in and quarantined everything off and took it out. And there was basically like it was supposedly a flying saucer, and that was the big rage for a few days. And supposedly that everything that's like, because people say that the alien or UFO sightings have skyrocketed since Roswell. So that's basically what they're arguing. They're saying that Roswell was kind of like the starting point for UFO sightings, so. But, you guys...
As I was saying earlier, I'm not really sure if it's Roswell, but I know there's rumors floating around that UFO sightings actually increased after the first atomic bomb tests. Is that around the same time?
Yes.
No.
Well, it was...
because
the bomb was... When was the bomb?
The actual bombs were 1945.
No, I'm talking about... Yeah.
And
the tests were much earlier, like I would say early 40s.
Yeah, it might... almost.
It was... Well, it was during the war, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just have something to say about UFOs in general, and this is quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson, because I was watching a video of him. You guys have probably seen this. He talks about how, like, if somebody comes up to you and says, oh my gosh, I think I just saw a UFO. Remind them what the U stands for.
Yes.
Because, like, if you start to, like, pressure them and they say, oh, but I think I saw an alien. No. You just said you saw an unidentified flying object. You do not know
Which
what
is
that
technically accurate. Although, I can't find evidence that you didn't see something, right? That evidence doesn't exist.
Like, if I see something in the sky that something that's flying overhead, it could either be a helicopter or a plane. If I don't know what it is, it's an unidentified flying object.
You're fully justified in saying that, by definition.
Absolutely. And it is not aliens.
Yes.
Aliens.
But yeah, I think that... the interesting thing to think about Roswell was that the idea that it wasn't alien... It was originally brought up at first, but it didn't catch on until the 70s. It wasn't like a huge national thing until like people said that.
Why was that? Why didn't it catch on?
I think it's because that there was when it happened, they said it was a weather balloon, and then I think they've changed it like 6 or 7 times because it was probably a top secret.
Yeah, they changed it a few times.
And in my opinion. Well, I've never seen the wreckage myself, and there's pictures.
There's like some rumors floating around there was like a Russian satellite too.
There's no pictures of the actual wreckage other than the ones that the government put out, like which was on
a few pictures.
Not at the scene.
Yeah.
There was the picture like that was on the whatever the paper was in Roswell but people argued that wasn't the same wreckage. But there's no way to prove that. But from what everyone has described, like all the witnesses, and there was quite a few, like the rancher and stuff like that, to me, it doesn't sound like it was what the Project Mogul that they said it was. It does, like, it could be I'm not under any illusion that it was something man-made, but it doesn't sound like, I don't know why they would be, and I think that's the main driving force behind it, is that the government has changed their opinion about it so many times.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes it so sketchy. Like, people are like, well, is it this or is it this? And the government is lying to us, therefore aliens.
And that it is a fact that the government did release technically what was false information about what it was, right?
Yeah.
So, but another thing that people bring up was that, and again relating it back to the nuke, the wreckage was taken to the Roswell Army Airfield and inspected by the 509th Bomb Group, the same bomb group which flew the missions to drop the bombs. These were not no-name soldiers. They were the exact same people that flew the Enola Gay and I don't remember the name of the other one. It was the same force that did that. And people think that that's really sketchy, that they would bring someone who dropped the most advanced technological piece of machinery that we have to date, or use the most advanced weapon, and then we bring this mysterious thing that people claim to be of extraterrestrial origin to this group. So, I can see how people would say that, but then again, I think that there is some sort of conspiracy to cover it up what it actually was, but what they're covering up isn't aliens. There's no reason to say that that's what it was.
It's definitely something high-tech or something that we're not supposed to have, but not aliens.
It's man-made.
Yeah.
It could be Russian, it could be a super-secret technological thing that humans, or that the Americans are working on.
I bet it's some kind of freaky Australian atmospheric thing. Because Australia. Why not?
Well, they also say that there was this device that they had that was taken up into the atmosphere to see if Russia was doing... I think that was actually Project Mogul. But to see if it was detecting explosions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so to see if they were doing nuclear tests. But yeah, and also anything that they said, like, because it arose in the 70s again, right? So it was basically they came up with new evidence, and then people said, well, why are you changing your opinion now? That means something must have happened, blah, 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 right? Like, and by that time, anybody who wanted to investigate it, all the evidence is long gone. Any evidence that there was taken to a base.
It's buried under a mountain of paperwork now.
And if you go to the scene, it's been weathered for 30, 40 years, right? Now closer to 60, 70.
60. Yeah,
right?
Wow.
So, there's not really... And almost all of the witnesses, other than... The only person who directly witnessed anything from there was the rancher's son, and I think he's on his deathbed now, too.
Yeah.
Nerdcast field trip?
There's no point. Well, that's what I was just saying. There's no point in even looking for evidence anymore. Because
there's nothing left.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh, it would be cool to visit the the UFO museum and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be good for tourist trap vacation, but not as a fact-finding mission.
No. But okay. Anything you want to say about Roswell? I think that there was something shady definitely happened, but it wasn't anything to do with extraterrestrials.
Yeah, that about sums it up for me.
The only way we'll find out is that one of us has to infiltrate the United States government.
Yeah.
Why me?
Because I chose you.
No one would suspect it.
Yeah, just some random guy.
No one suspects the Ginger Inquisition.
Except for the fact that that we basically just described the entire plot to what we're going to do on our podcast. There's no evidence that would convict Danny for that, but yeah. We'll move on to the next one, which is, I guess not, well, some people would argue it would be, but anyway, the Men in Black.
Nah.
So...
Isn't the other conspiracy is that it's just aliens?
Yeah, there's a thought that the Men in Black are aliens that have come down to kind of disprove or get people to stop saying that there's They saw aliens.
That's
kind of
just
like
funny.
the alien fact police.
But for those of you who don't know what the Men in Black are because they haven't seen the movie,
Which you really should.
Good movies.
it's anybody who says they see Men in Black or sees not sees Men in Black, but sees a UFO or aliens or anything related to that.
I saw Men in Black.
Did you? The
That was a
movie?
good movie. Yeah.
But anyway, anybody who supposedly sees aliens, the Men in Black come and their shiny brand new black cars get out in their black suits and basically tell you to stop talking or else bad things will happen.
Very subtle.
Pretty much sums it up.
And so some people say that they're a branch of the government that's like super secret. Other people say that they're aliens. But and this has basically been happening since like the Roswell era of the first few.
Yeah.
Although I don't know
aliens.
if there's people that are still saying it's happening. I don't know if there's still modern day claims or not. I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah. Pretty sure there are.
See, the thing that like bothers me, or it doesn't really bother me, is that if what we're saying is true about how someone comes up and says, or some guy in like a black suit says, "Stop talking," or bad things are going to happen to you, basically insinuating that they're going to silence you.
Oh, and they also take all your evidence too if you have any pictures, videos, or.
If they're threatening you like that, and if you have minds like in thinking that they definitely have the power to kill you, I'm just going to go on record saying, yeah, I got approached by a guy who was wearing like a Men in Black suit. He was a man in a black suit, and he told me he was going to kill me if I keep talking. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep talking.
And then basically pull the Bob Lazar approach that I said, because then if you get killed, then you know they're real.
Yeah, exactly. But man, you got to have some balls to like go on and actually start saying that.
What, saying?
Keep talking. Because like,
considering there's no actual evidence that anybody was actually visited by anyone in a suit like that, there's been no pictures of them that I've recall.
No, none I can think of.
We should just like put a picture of like Will Smith.
I remember hearing one thing where they took a picture of someone who they thought was a Man in Black, like a member of the agency, but it could just be some guy that wore a suit. So, I don't really see that.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing about that.
And he wasn't actually like, if somebody got a picture of them in their house talking to people, then I think that would be the best evidence towards it. But then again, that doesn't implement any alien thing, right? Because I think that the Men in Black it could very possibly exist, and I guess to some extent they do.
But not for like UFOs or anything like that.
Well, first
Maybe
of all,
for
like if we don't think that anything like that, there are things that are happening that the government wants to keep secret, right?
Yeah, we can't deny that.
So then it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would create some sort of person to go around and say, stop talking about what you saw, right? Because it could possibly be a matter of national security, right? The government would want, if it would be a bit naive to say that the government wouldn't want people talking about like their new plane, right? Or their new drone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that maybe if it did happen, it probably happened once, and then the story got spread around, and then people started saying it. That they had it happen too, because as soon as you say you saw an alien, then or a UFO, you're going to convince some people that also believe in that, but most of the people aren't. And then as soon as you bring in the fact that, afterwards I was visited by Men in Black, it theoretically adds a bit more credibility to your story. Right?
Yes, then it just becomes like a snowball effect.
Yes. So I can see the rationale between people lying for that, right? Because even if they did see something that they don't know what it is, a UFO, but they think with all their heart that it is an alien, and they want people to believe it, I think that it wouldn't be like impossible to say that they would actually go to the lengths of lying that they had people talk to them about it and say stop talking, just because they want people to realize that what they did see something and they don't know what it was and they think it's aliens, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the most possible thing that happened, and we also don't know that it could just be. It could be the third party. It could just be like pranksters, right?
Yeah.
It could be somebody that happened to own a black car and drove up on somebody that said they saw an alien dressed in black suits and fedoras and walked in acting all weird and said, "Hey, you should stop talking," and then just left. And any credentials they flash, well, first of all, most people wouldn't know credentials of any sort of government branch if they saw it. I would have no idea what a fake or real, like, CSIS badge looked like if somebody showed it to me.
Yeah, it's the perfect way to get away with it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so even if they do flash something fake, how are you going to... It's going to be impossible to say we don't know what is the real and the fake Men in Black badge, right? Because one doesn't exist.
Unless someone pulls out a badge that you clearly got from the dollar store and it says like the agent on it.
If it's written in crayon and one of the letters is backwards, then maybe. But I think that if I'm going to say that anything that we've talked about is possible, I think that it would probably be this, but I'm only would go to as far as to say that it maybe only happened once, like, it legitimately happened, but we don't know if it was, and even if it was the government, you gotta think that that's a good idea, because they only need to do it once, and then word's gonna spread that, oh, well, man, they're sending people that are threatening to kill them, right? And maybe people make a logical conclusion, or, I guess, it wouldn't be logical, it would be logical to them, a jump that they would say that it was the government, and it could also just be a prankster that said, this is going to scare the crap out of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. But yeah, I think that at the very minimum, it may have happened once. And then the story ballooned from there. But even if we're saying that, we have no evidence that that one time happened. So we can't even say that. So officially, I'm going to say that the Men in Black don't exist. And there's no such thing as some secret branch of a government that's trying to hide a UFO conspiracy. Because you think that, even if that, like, okay, let's say that we all live across the street from each other or in the same neighborhood, right? And Danny says he sees an alien over our block. And then the next day, the Men in Black come and visit Danny, right?
I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
even if Will and I have no idea what's happening, no idea that Danny even saw an alien, no idea that anything about an alien, my natural thing is going to be to try to see what these mysterious government-looking vehicles are pulling up in front of Danny's house, right?
Yeah.
Because even if it's not aliens, it could be like, what, Danny's running a meth lab, or he has some secret cockfighting ring in his basement, right? And so I'm going to film it. So to think that, and I'm going to film this unusual thing that's happening, right? Just in case, because even for government accountability and such. So to think that no one has ever filmed these people is out of the realm of possibility in the modern times with people with cell phones.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible that even somebody might have snapped a picture of this thing, of these people walking out of their car or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I can't think of any record of a picture or video of the Men in Black existing.
And you would think because of how long it's been going on, somebody would have a picture.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, even modern day, right? Because everybody has a camera.
Cameras are everywhere. Almost everyone has a cell phone or a smartphone that has a camera on it.
Yeah.
And so then I guess you could make the argument by extension that anybody who takes a picture of the Men in Black get visited by the Men in Black. But then that's just expanding the conspiracy even more to an even bigger realm of impossibility. And it's just...
if you try to prove the Men in Black exist, you'll be visited by the Men in Black.
It's not even, you can't even consider it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's ridiculous at the end of the day.
I find it kind of funny.
But
just like everything else we've talked about.
Yes, but like we said, if the government did want to put a damper on people saying that, oh, there's aliens, the best way to go about doing it would be to send 2 guys, let's say, that were dressed shadily and put on this dog and pony show for everybody and say, oh, this person was threatened with death because they saw an alien, so nobody else should like that. That's a plausible thing that would happen. I could see that happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
More so than
definitely.
anything else that we've talked about. Because
Doesn't
even
mean it's super plausible, but it's the most plausible.
Because even if it wasn't aliens, the government could perpetuate misinformation, right?
Yeah.
They could just because even if they drop some sort of subtle hint in a speech that aliens could exist, right? Or even if they just mention, if a government agent were to come, or like the president were to come out and say aliens don't exist, it's not going to help anyone. It's going to make things worse. Because the people like us are going to go, well, we already knew that. Thanks for the news, right? But then everybody else that believes in aliens is going to say, well, why would he say that now? What's the cryptic message behind this? And then he decodes it. And he translates it into ancient Sumerian, and he says, and it's like, this phrase was uttered, and this, it's just going to spin out of control, and I think that's why nobody says anything. Also because
I have an explanation.
It doesn't
reptiles.
It doesn't need to be addressed, right? Rational thinking people can realize that aliens haven't visited this planet. And I'm also going to finish this whole point by saying that I think we can all agree that statistically speaking, there's a very, very, almost 100% chance that there is life on other planets somewhere in the universe.
That is a disclaimer.
Oh, yeah.
We fully believe that.
But that they've visited this planet or even a planet other than the one that their life originated from, I find that hard to believe. Because
not very likely.
There was, I can't remember who said it, but there was...
Why do they always crash on our planet? Like, they don't know what they're doing.
There was, I think it might have been Neil deGrasse Tyson that talked about that, but somebody basically said...
Inept aliens?
Up to... What we've discovered is how far our science is what only, we have to assume that that's how far other species are, right? And, so how far as far as we know, we can't break the laws of physics as they stand right now. So you can't assume that some alien race can break the laws of physics, right? Mm-hmm. So as of right now, even if there was some, alien species that lived on a planet, let's say, I don't know how far away, out of our solar system, that it existed for millions of years, and they're millions of years advanced of us, right? They can't go faster than the speed of light.
We've tried. Not happening.
So that means that they would have to have a generation ship in order to get to our planet, right?
People are listening to me now. Look at that.
They would have to use our methods of travel because there's no other way to travel through space other than the ones that we've conceived of that are within the realm, within the laws of physics. So to think that, and I think this is what Neil deGrasse Tyson said based on that point. He basically said, so that means that to our knowledge, if they did send aliens to our planet, and let's say that the Roswell incident was an alien ship, then that means that they sent these 3 aliens who are three's the recorded, but let's say they sent an X amount of aliens that are on this generation ship that are the subsequent generation of the people who launched, right? Let's say it was 2 generations for the sake of argument. And then, so they're putting so many eggs in this basket and then it just crash lands on the surface because they don't know how to land. You'd think they'd have planned this out.
Yeah.
Right? And they also said that we'd notice, I think we'd notice a base on another planet in our solar system, or a large ship that they use as a mothership. We'd notice that. We'd notice some sort of anomaly.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that they would launch a mission to come to this planet and then they would crash is just absurd. Because if they had that technology, then they would have the technology to plan out that we have to land this way in this atmosphere, or we can't, so we won't go there, right? Mm-hmm. It's just outrageous to think that Because then it's like a paradox. We have these super smart species that are also incredibly stupid and like don't have foresight.
It's like, we're going to fly through all of space, and then they get to Earth, and it's just like a really weird breeze on one day. And then they crash. It's just a little bit windy.
I spilled space soda on the devices, and we can't land.
It's really blustery out of the north.
Yeah, it's just like, I spilled my space root beer all over my Space Mountain Dew. All over the dash. We don't have our altimeter.
My space dew is gone.
But yeah, so no aliens on Earth. I'm confident saying that. Aliens somewhere, probably. So, anything you want to add for this? Anything you want to sum up for this whole conspiracy theory episode? In conclusion,
Yeah, I've got nothing else. I think we did a pretty good job without going overboard, because I could probably talk for probably fill an entire day just talking about this stuff.
Yeah. And I think it was a pretty long podcast, so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, just the call alone is 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah, but we were on for maybe half an hour or 40 minutes before that, so.
Still long.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically what it comes down to is you don't really have any reason to jump to a conclusion of a conspiracy theory unless the evidence supports it.
Please think first, and then talk to yourself about it. Please.
Yes. Evaluate. Well, you shouldn't believe things that don't have evidence behind them.
And whatever you say, please repeat that to yourself.
That's somebody had to have said that in the past. It can't just be me, because if I thought of that quote, this rational line, I don't know what to think of that.
Copyright it and ask a recorder for every time it's said.
It makes me scared to think that I could actually have some sort of positive contribution to a philosophical discussion.
Well, this is a topic for another day, but I can start. How many stupid people exist on planet Earth?
Yes.
So
I don't consider myself among the other category of smart people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it's not out of the question to think that you were the first one to say that quote. Not out of the question.
And now will forever be said on the Nerdcast.
I'll have to Google it afterwards. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it. In conclusion, the time to believe something is when there's sufficient evidence for it, not before. And that's pretty much it. And everything we've talked about is probably not true. Almost 100% not true, I'm going to go ahead and say. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not, because you can't disprove the existence of something, right? That's another thing. I can't suddenly go, this evidence that I found proves that Bigfoot doesn't exist, because if something doesn't exist, it doesn't leave anything behind. I can find things that you could say, so, like such and such and such and such, and because of this, by extension, Bigfoot can't exist. But I'm not going to find concrete evidence of something that doesn't exist. It'd be like, well, I found this pot of gold, but it's not at the end of a rainbow, so leprechauns don't exist, right? Like, it's not going to happen. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it. So, you should reevaluate your thinking about conspiracy theories if you believe them. They're probably not true. Occam's razor and such. Simplest solution is probably the right one. But, yeah. Thanks for listening. And bearing with us.
Our marathon episode.
Paranoid parable we've had. But, yeah. So, I guess we'll see you next time for a more, within the realm of possibility about discussion topics. So, thanks. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.